Without further ado, I do want to keep up time and invite our next lecturers, Eddie, which will talk about the cybersecurity balance. Eddie is a well-known cybersecurity professional. I will not disclose your age, Eddie, okay? So, but lot of years, I can tell you, from my beginning of my occupation in cybersecurity world, Eddie was already there, okay? So he actually established, just to summarize or to highlight, Eddie was the one who was a co-creator and also the chief security officer at the Israeli eGov, the e-government, which is the gov.il, also known as Tehillah. So Eddie, without further ado, please start your presentation. I'm giving you the control. So let me know if you can switch the slides.
How can I switch the slide exactly?
Just click.
Click? Yeah. How can I click back?
Just back in
Just
the...
play with the arrows. Back
yes,
and forth arrows.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Eddie Harari. Today I'm General Manager of Infinitylabs Cyber Division. Infinitylabs has a very elaborate program for programmers, developers, and cyber security personnel. And my talk today is more on the general aspect of security, but it's very relevant to any development cycle, because at the end of the day, we are all using the infrastructure. And my talk today is about security approach. And mainly because I see some, say, gaps between the way I view security and the way people approach it. And without further ado, I will start. First of all, about myself, my name, you all know now, Eddie Harari. If you look 25 years ago, I was going in the e-zines, the first hacking magazines. Some of my work is there under a nickname named the Gremlin. Most of the years, I think there was some other nicknames, but that was mainly most of the years. I have very elaborate experience with cybersecurity and many topics of cybersecurity on both the defensive and the offensive side. I learned cybersecurity in the army, and I worked through at the first 20 years for the government. The last 15 years, I'm working for the high-tech sector, say like that. So I think that any presentation today, without mentioning, and it was mentioning, I think in the last presentation mentioned a little bit of AI at the end. Am I correct? So I'll go, and I went ahead and I asked ChatGPT what is cybersecurity balance, and this was its answer. The answer is good enough, but it's not accurate. And I'm not going to read the answer, but yes, I'm going to explain what is cybersecurity balance in my view. Cybersecurity balance is deciding the risks that I'm allowing myself to live with. In many cases, and the best demonstration of such cases would be an organization, whether it's a development organization, like a product organization, or any other organization, gets hit by some kind of a ransomware. And all of a sudden, you see that this incident changes the approach, the security approach of the organization at the very same moment. And they start deciding to do things based on urgency, but not really evaluating the security and their assets, but because the decision making transforms from the level of the technical people to the level of the management. and they bring advisor, etc. Cybersecurity balance means that not every cybersecurity threat, and I'm saying it out loud, should be dealt with. Not immediately, at least. Because the cybersecurity is an ever-going war between, or ever-going balance between comfortability of your users, usability, business continuation, and many tasks that you do with cybersecurity may disrupt your day-to-day production life. And when I thought about it when I was going to many customers, mainly doing some gap analysis and looking at what they place and how they build their infrastructure for the development cycle and how they build their infrastructure for the production, etc. And I saw, and I think it's mainly because the question is, what is better? Technology, when we talk about cybersecurity, which is better? The approach of using technology for cybersecurity or policy and methodology for cybersecurity? So of course the answer is both, but which one are we going to when we have a cybersecurity problem in our infrastructure or in our cycles? So I think anyone with a little bit of experience will answer that this question is not relevant to cybersecurity exactly, because of the reason that if to answer this question, you need to know what is the context this question is being asked about. Is it asked about off the grid, for example, military environment? Is it asked about connected environment? Is it asked about development environment? What kind of environment and what kind of problem am I coming to solve? But when you look at it, you see that people, especially hands-on people, tend to go to the technology part and neglect the policy and methodology part, and often enough it will give them less security than the desired. And I think technology gets more focused because of the simple reason that it's more it's more reachable. It's more interesting than starting and conducting policies and starting to design certain methodologies that will ensure security, and sometimes, by the way, better than any kind of technology placed. I think part of the problem where I see it is that a lot of products, and I heard the previous and the previous lectures, and the previous lectures definitely present elaborate security processes in product development. But I think coming from the infrastructure type of security, okay, I think that a lot of the times I see that the risk assessment is not done often enough. And it needs to be done often enough because cybersecurity is a dynamic field, meaning a product which is considered secured in this very moment, tomorrow morning, if you take, for example, what was the big in 2022, I think was Log4j, for example. So all of a sudden you have all these products which are not secured anymore. Now, when we see such things like these products being unsecured and CVEs published 0 days, etc., and not only 0 days, even 1 day, or third parties, libraries being exploited and reported, our main gut gut feeling is to go ahead and patch it. And we are missing something a lot of people missing something very important at this very moment, when it's now we have a problem and we need to fix it now. And I think that the evaluation of when the problem actually affects us, what is the impact, evaluating the impact of the problem, because sometimes, the best examples is from time to time an exploit for example, in the Intel processor or in a certain chip on a board of a computer is being published, and everyone is rushing in to start and getting the patches and everything. Now, I think that and I take it from what we call zero tolerance security products, meaning places that cannot really compromise on security. I think that there needs to be an evaluation, and we don't see this evaluation being done enough or in a professional way. And the evaluation is a simple questions that we can ask ourselves. What is the impact of this problem to my infrastructure or to my products? What is the likelihood that something like this will happen? And we don't need to rush into fixing each and every problem somebody reports to us. Okay, because we need to evaluate the risk, and this is exactly the risk assessment process. And the risk assessment process should be done on a cycle every time we can decide which period, depends on the product, what is its exposure, etc. Second thing in cybersecurity balance, and this is an often mistake, is that a lot of the places treat technical people, the hands-on personnel, a lot of the places treat them as security aware people. And this is 100% of the time not the case, and even contrary. And I will explain. The people with the hands-on, technological people with the hands-on, are often the people that are able to open the product or the infrastructure to a greater risk than the people in the back office, such as the people that gets today normally the training, which are the accounting and the accounting department and the secretary's department, etc. I think that building a well-aware security culture in the technical teams is a must for each and every company, and security programs should come and security also tests. Like today we have the companies that are sending, for example, phishing emails, and they are checking certain security aspects of workers, regular workers in the company. I think this should go also to the hands-on. I call them the hands-on, but in truth, this is all the high-tech personnel within the company. The security should be adaptive and dynamic, because it's a dynamic topic. And when I mean dynamic and adaptive, I mean you should not trust only technology to protect your security. We all know that, I think if we take the top 10 companies on the on the Nasdaq, and we cannot think that they are not investing in security. I think the common ground to all of these companies is that if we go 5 years back, each and every one of them was reported to be hacked at a certain point. And one more thing which is missing, and I see it all the time that it's missing, is in God we trust, all other we monitor. Visibility is a key factor in security. And it's often neglected because we tend to deal with the technical part, with the penetration test, with getting the 0 days. With today there is I don't know if you know CASM, it's an security asset management product. Okay, we tend to deal with the technology of these things, but when you look at how many people really monitor their products, and we can do a huge amount of detection inside the product, a huge amount, by achieving visibility, true visibility and full visibility on what the product does and all what the product is doing, and all and on what the what happens in the infrastructure level. And I think if we will do all this and we balanced it, we are going to balance it with technology, and we're going to invest the resources in both, not only in one thing, but in both, or in many aspects of security. And yes, it will come in a price that maybe I would not implement a certain technology that might help me. But we cannot neglect if the budget or the resource I'm focusing in on the technology means that I will have less visibility, or I will have lack of visibility. We need to monitor. I mean, we need to evaluate that and see where we should put the resource to. It's not obvious automatically technology as we see it in many places. Another thing that is very common, and it's a phrase I've been saying for a long time. I think we are past the time that we are trying to protect that the main goal should be protecting our product. Yes, it is the main goal, but I think it's more important. And again, this is things that you don't see part of the procedure of a security for a company or a product, that a company developing a product or developing its own infrastructure. I think the more important thing is have your team and your management prepare for the day after the attack, and not just write some kind of procedures, etc. Really try them. You know, there's a story back in the days, many people used to do backups, and then when they needed the backups were not available. There was an error, they couldn't find the encryption key, etc., etc. It's the same here. If you don't test your backup, if you don't test your system, if you don't test your policy, the day after the attack, you will find yourself starting to study what I should do. This translates directly to resources and money that the company will invest in fixing the problem. And when it comes to BCM, meaning business continuation management, it's a lot of resources, it's a lot of money, and this needs to be part of your program. Have procedures stating this and that happens, and not only have procedures stating this and that happens, but really do it, simulate it, and see how the company reacts. Train them to react in time. Each and every part of the company should be in place and act upon the procedure. Another error commonly seen is when deploying new security technology. A lot of the people ask, what does this security technology give me? Either in the infrastructure or for your development cycle. But the true question to ask is not what is this security technology gives me or what it protects against, but what attack vector, which is uncovered or partly covered at my on my assets, what attack vector on my assets, which is partly covered by this technology, meaning we need to evaluate the differentiation between the coverage with the new technology and with the old technology, what we have currently. And you'll be surprised that a lot of the products, and you see many duplications, especially on infrastructure security, and coming from security design and architecture, I can tell you that too many products that secure you, at the end of the day, they create a complexity which is unmanageable. If we talk about networks, I think the latest statistic for security tools on an average company network, I think the latest was around between 18 and 21. And when you go and you see what was deployed, you see a lot of duplications. Now, when you evaluate the assets and evaluate the risks, a lot of the times you will see that some of these products, some of these technologies are redundant, and you will save resources, but not only because of this. I think mainly I'm a really big supporter of the KIS, keep it simple. I really believe in simple security, not complex. I think that complexity is the enemy of security. Okay, so sorry. Here it is. So I think the takeaway from this talk is that we tend to go often to products that will secure us. And judging from researching incidents, really researching them by being part of the IR teams and consulting and doing gap analysis, post-attack gap analysis on companies, I think that we trust more technology and we give less resources to methodology and policies. And I think there are a lot of places where methodologies and policies would have saved the company better than the technology they deployed. And I will be happy to answer any of your questions now.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you, Eddie. Guys, if you have any questions to Eddie or to any other lectures, please write them down in the Q&A. We will answer all your questions. Feel free to write in the Q&A. I think there is one question to Rotem. Rotem, someone anonymous is asking, how do you get over the feeling of not knowing enough? What do you think?
So it could be not knowing enough in multiple areas, I guess. It could be in general, in the position of the imposter syndrome, or it could be something that you don't know about, one of the applications that you have internally. Eventually, you can tackle it from various angles as well. So you can say, okay, I'm going to learn this stuff that I'm not that good at. It could be just one example, Kubernetes. I want to become a Kubernetes expert, so I will need to set up my own cluster and to play with that. Or if it is in one of the applications that you have, because sometimes you will need to defend on an application and a technology that you don't know how to work with. So you will need to sit maybe with the developers or with the DevOps teams and actually understand from them what they are doing, what is this technology, and just proceed from there. So it highly depends on the actual question here.
Yes, I think also from practical or day-to-day, there are always risks, okay? There are always risks out there. There is always something you don't know, or someone invented or found a 0 day or something like that. And I think the approach here is, as Rotem mentioned, and also Bar talked about it, and Eddie talked about it, to build secure in depth. So actually combining three things: combining people, combining the technology, okay, the right technology to use, the right tool set to use, and the process, okay? So
if I may,
not just to shift left. Yes, Eddie.
Leo, if I may, because I relate to the question very much, like feeling you don't know enough. And I think that at some point, I mean, for me, what happened was that at some point I knew that, first of all, you cannot know everything, and trying to grasp everything, which is an often beginners try to grasp everything all at once and learn everything and study everything all at once, will yield eventually lack of knowledge in many, like you will know several things, but you will not know them in depth, meaning you will be a little bit shallow in these things. I think that eventually you need to also here, you need to balance on how deep you go into each and every technology, and how much do you really need to know. And I think it's an acquired talent. I think that at the beginning you're very much all over the place, and once you get used to it, you start to understand, here I will go into this and that level, this is already too much, etc. And once you know principles, and I'm today I'm not a programmer, but I come from programming. But once you know a lot of principles, you will see that a lot of the principles that you know also in security, they are duplicated between the technologies. So it's eventually, once you know something and you know the principle and how it works, it doesn't mean you need to know it on each and every technology. You will be able to enter relatively easy to a new technology.
By the way, I must say that sometimes even developers doesn't know the technologies that they are working on. So this is why it is also important to have more controls in the process and more layers of security eventually.
Yes, that's fully correct. And Eddie, I personally loved your slide related to the culture, not just awareness, but the culture of the organization. So if the organization has a culture of securing, they will also assist you as an application security or CISO to implement security, okay? They will assist you, they will be your right hand, and together, in culture manner, you will establish a strong cybersecurity. And of course, you don't know everything. Also, a developer, as Rotem said, doesn't know everything, but
100%.
you will cover most of the aspects, and I truly connect on that. Bar, do you want to add anything from tool perspective related to the coverage or depending depth?
I think you all cover it pretty nicely, but basically, yeah, the basics are important. Doing the basics is like, there is no point in investing in some super crazy all doing solution or tools when a third-party library or a single XSS can take your solution down. So do your basics, then go forward.
Okay, great. Guys, if you have any questions, please write them down to each and every, in the Q&A. If you have any questions to our lectures, please feel free to ask now. And, we can contact each and every one. As I mentioned, the recording of this session will be uploaded to our LinkedIn page. I've sent the link in the chat, so you will be able to see. We will upload it to our LinkedIn page. And if there's no further questions from the audience, I do want to thank you, the lecturers, Bar, Rotem, Eddie. Thank you
Thank you so much
for your time and presenting from your experience. I think it's a very interesting topic that will continue to be very interesting in the future, including the AI. Okay, so the AI and the new technology and the AI technology will actually enrich or enlarge the attack surface and the defect in cybersecurity and also in application security. So thank you very much for that. Have a great evening, and see you in the next meetup. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye
Thank
for
you.
now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.